In the first part, I will ask you some personal questions.
Okay.
First, I'd like to ask about your job. What is your job?
I currently work as a secondary school teacher in Oman, and I teach physics for secondary school students.
Do
And
you
I
like
am,
your job?
yes, I really like my job. I think it's my passion. The teaching is my passion. I have a deep enthusiasm for my job.
Mhm. What job do you think you will have in the next 5 years?
Uh, Currently I'm planning to do my higher studies in education, so I would like to be a university lecturer in the future. So first of all I have to get solid foundation to be a university lecturer, so that's what my plan is.
Mhm. Now let's move on and talk about festivals. What is your favorite festival?
If I talk about the festivals in my country, it's very the Sinhala New Year celebration is very famous among the Sri Lankan people. So it's my favorite festival because we have the chance to get together with our family members, and we follow different rituals for this occasion, for this celebration, and we cook different meals like sweets and milk rice, and different meals are there, and we get together, we go
Thank you
out
so
with my
much.
friends. Yes.
And do you like Western festivals?
Yes, I do like, because I would like to explore their culture, especially. I like mostly I like Christmas festival because I like the decorations, especially their Christmas trees. I have seen them in movies, so I really like to enjoy that kind of festival.
Now let's move on and talk about making plans. Do you make plans every day?
Yes, as a part of my work, it's very important for me to plan, do work according to a plan. Especially before I go to work, I have a set of plan. I have a set of list in a piece of paper, or maybe on my phone. I keep reminders. Then I will not I will not forget about the plans that I have to do for the
Thank
next
you.
day, following day.
And is it easy to manage your time?
Yes, then it will be very easy to manage my time, and it's convenient if you have a plan prepared ahead.
Thank you very much. Now we can move on to the second part of the exam.
Okay.
In the second part, Shakuri, I will give you a card with a topic, and you should talk about this topic for 2 minutes. So you should describe a person whom you know well who came up with a new idea or invention. Now you have 1 minute to think about this topic and make notes, and your 1 minute time starts now.
Okay.
Okay, now your 1 minute is over, and you may talk about this topic for 2 minutes. Your
Yes.
2 minutes start now.
Yes, as a science graduate, I have seen people who came up with new idea and invention, especially Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein. Those people have done an incredible job to the science industry. So I would like to talk about Isaac Newton, who invented the concept of gravity, and also Newton's laws of motion and everything, because it's very important part of science, because the gravity is the thing or concept that we can explain, we can use to explain how it attracted towards, how people and objects are attracted towards the earth. So that is a very important concept for our lifestyle as well. And that's why I found it interesting. uh, Other than that, not only Isaac Newton, I like the concept invented by this another Nobel Prize winner, who is Albert Einstein. So he has he has done an incredible job to our science field. Especially, he has done theory of relativity, and also he has done many theories. He has proved many theories, derivations, and everything. So I love to explore their ideas and inventions. Now I'm looking forward to learn all these inventions and ideas one by one in detail with their histories as well.
Okay, would you like to add more information?
um, I think no.
Okay, thank you very much. We can move on to the third part of the exam.
Okay.
In the second part, you describe the person whom you know well who came up with a new idea or invention. Now, in
Yes.
part 3, I would like to ask you some questions related to this topic. How do you think people can innovate or make new discoveries?
They can now, because of the advancement of technology, now they can easily access this. They can have access to the internet, so they can explore many things through the internet. So using that, they can inspired. They can be inspired, and they can try to invent things. They can try to innovate things. They can try to make innovative things. So that is more convenient now
And how
compared to the
about the
past.
government? How do you think the government can help the scientists and innovators of every country?
Yes, definitely. The government can do a actually investing, by investing those kind of researchers, they can definitely um, uh, what do you call that? They can definitely um, im- improve the improve the society, or they can build the science equipments and everything, and they can encourage the scientists to explore more equipments, more and more different equipments, in order to improve the quality.
Okay. Now that we're talking about people having new ideas and opinions, and of course, the support of the government for them, let's move on and talk a little about children and the relation of these two topics. So, at what age do children learn to form their own opinions and ideas, in your idea?
I think from the early childhood, they try to build their opinions, and they try to generate ideas. So parents should help them a lot to do their things in their way, without forcing them to do it. So I think that is the main age that the child's brain develops. So we
Mhm.
have to help them. Yes.
And do you also think that their opinions are likely to be similar to their parents?
Uh, I don't think that is true, but we can think like the parents influences the child in one way, but parents should not force them to do different things, and they should not force them to think according to their opinion. So they should be independent one day. They should not be dependent on their parents.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, this is the end of the speaking test.
Do you want to know what band score you'll get in the IELTS speaking test? Perhaps you want to improve your performance and prepare yourself for the real test? Then why not book an online mock test with us that will last for 25 minutes? 12 minutes of the test itself and 13 minutes of comprehensive feedback, plus we'll give you useful tips on how to make your performance better. So, we know how to help you. Join us.
Okay, that was a lot of talking. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate that you give me this feedback because I know this will help me. This is exactly what I need.
Although my job is hard, I enjoy doing it.
You have already practiced the last time I'm going to sit on the exam day. You should make sure. Okay, this is the last time I'm going to talk about
IELTS Academy for our generation.
Hang out movie and talk about what's in it for and film. So, we were talking about synonyms for film.
In your fluency and coherence category, the two things that I already mentioned, the structure you follow and the topic development you have, these are evaluated in the first criteria. And I can say that the only problem, like the biggest problem you had with the structure was in the second part where you didn't cover your time. And other than that, in the first part, you should make sure not to give some very long or very short answers. However, if you also have hesitations, self-repetitions, or self-corrections, you would lose mark in this criteria. I can say that you know how to answer all the questions because you have a very good level of English and you understand all the words and everything. So that's very something that helps you get a good score. And because of that, you have a good fluency. But remember not to repeat the same structures or vocabulary. This is something I already told you before. For example, in part 3, you kept repeating they can, short sentences. Instead, you can just use a filler to buy yourself some time, and then you keep talking by making some more complex structures. So don't repeat the same structures because that would be self-repetition. But you didn't have many self-corrections or hesitations. You could maintain your flow of speech. The last thing you should know, in which you did well, was about the range of the connectives and discourse markers. If you only use very simple connectives like just and, so, but, because, you can't get more than a 5 in your fluency and coherence. But you would try to have a range. For example, you use the word that's why, also as well. On the other hand, not only, and in order to. This is perfect. Just try to maintain the same range tomorrow. This is how you can get 7 and more. Just to wrap up, in the first criteria, what you can change tomorrow is first of all the structure. And now you know the structure, you don't have to push it because you know it and you will do it. In the second part, I cover my time. In the first part, I make sure not to give a very short or very long answer. That's it. And you try to avoid some self-repetitions by faking your answer more often. So because of all I mentioned, you got a 6 in your fluency and coherence, but I am pretty sure you can get a 7 tomorrow. Because now you know the structure, you know that you shouldn't have self-repetitions. In order not to have self-repetitions, I told you to fake your answer, which means to lie a little bit when you don't know what to say. You can make it up. For example, if the examiner asks you to describe your house and you don't know how to describe it, then you will have more hesitations or you will just repeat the same ideas. So you think to yourself, can I describe somebody else's house as if I'm talking about my house? If you can do it, then do so. Because this is how you can just say something, and the examiner doesn't really care if you're telling the truth. As long as your answer makes sense and is related to the question, you're good to go. So this is how you can even have a better fluency. And this technique brings us to the second criteria, which is your vocabulary, your lexical resource. In your vocabulary category, you got a 7 because you knew how to maintain a good range of collocations. This is actually necessary. If you want to get the same score tomorrow, you should pay attention to 4 things. The first one is about the range of the collocations, and of course, the second one, idioms, the vocabulary. If you want to get a 7, you are not expected to use a wide range of collocations. You should just use some less common collocations and idioms. And as you did it, you got a 7. That's one of the first things. For example, you used, I have a deep enthusiasm. To do higher studies, solid foundation, to have the chance to do something, explore the cultures, to have a plan ahead, do an incredible job in detail, advancements of the technology, early childhood, to generate ideas. So these were some collocations and generally vocabulary you used. So that's about collocations and idioms. If you can add like 1 or 2 more idioms, that would be wonderful. You make sure to get a 7. How can you do it? By faking your answer. For example, you know the idiom over the moon, which means happy.
Yes.
You can use it in many topics. For example, I ask you to describe your house. And actually, you're describing your house, but you want to use the idiom naturally. You can say that, well, I do enjoy being in my house. And whenever I have guests, I feel over the moon because, I have been doing a lot to decorate it. And I bought all the stuff by myself. And it gives me a very good feeling to have people around in my house. So you try to use the idiom. That's how you fake your answer. But your answer should not sound like a memorized language. Otherwise, you would definitely lose mark. Just use anything that you are 100% sure about and that you can use naturally. This is about the collocations and idioms. I told you there are 4 things. The third one is about the paraphrasing, which is to use some synonyms. And you did it. And that's why you got a 7. For example, the word currently. Would you like to do something? To look forward to something. So instead of using some simple vocabulary, you try to use this. Make sure to paraphrase, make sure not to repeat what the examiner asks you. Like you say, the examiner says, do you like your house? You say, yes, I like my house. No, maybe you can say, yes, I love my apartment. That's how you paraphrase. You use some direct synonyms. And the last thing in this criteria is about the fillers and boosters. You actually use some, but whenever you run out of ideas, you don't know what else to say, you can simply use fillers and boosters to buy yourself some time. For example, I ask you a question, you want to start your answer, but you need a few seconds to think. Instead of saying, and not saying anything, you can start your answer saying, well, that's a very good question. Let me think about it. I should say that, and then you keep talking. Or in the middle of your answer, your mind goes blank. It's okay. It happens to all candidates. So you can simply slow down a little bit. You play with your pace. You don't speak at the same pace. Sometimes you slow down and sometimes you speak faster, just like how I'm talking to you when I need more time to think. So you say, and you talk, and then you say, and there is also something else that I should mention, which is about the fact that, and then you keep talking. So this is how you can have a better fluency. And of course, this is part of your vocabulary. So that's why you got a 7. You maintain the same range in your collocations and idioms. You make sure to paraphrase and you use fillers and boosters whenever you needed them. Now talking about your grammar. In your grammar, you got another 7 because you use a range of complex structures. Just make sure to do it tomorrow. But if you ask yourself what these complex grammatical structures are that you're expected to use, because if you use a mix of simple and complex, you get a 6. If you use a range of complex structures, you got a 7. And if you use them very flexibly. So these complex structures, first of all, are relative clauses, that sentence. Subordinate clauses, which are 2-clause sentences. For example, as soon as I get home, I eat lunch. This is a 2-clause sentence. We call it subordinate clause. You use relative clauses and subordinate clauses very naturally. Just make sure to keep using conditional sentences. You use them twice. And compound sentences. Compound sentences you make by using connectives and time order words. You use, for example, first of all, then, after that. This is great. If you can use some adverbs in the beginning of your sentence, happily, actually, unfortunately, luckily, necessarily, these can also help you make compound sentences. And the more connectives you use, the more conjunctions you use, the better you can make complex structures. So that's important to So that was the first reason why you got a 7. The next didn't make so many mistakes. You know how to make the structures correctly. Be careful with that, because if you use a range of structures incorrectly, you can't get a 7. You just get a 6 because of not using them correctly. So, for example, the mistakes you made, new idea and invention, you should have said new ideas and inventions. It's a very important part of science. It's a very important part of science. The parents' influences, the parents' influence. So just these three. Be careful with that.
Okay.
And if you use good tenses, that can also help you. For example, you use present perfect. If you can use better ones, present perfect continuous, would, used to, anything, it can be helpful. And finally, in your pronunciation, because your speaking is clear to understand, your pace of the speech is fine, but you had a few mispronunciations with the word follow, definitely, and parents. But generally speaking, your pronunciation is fine. You pay attention to the word stress and sentence stress, except for those few mistakes made. If you had 2 6s and 2 7s, your score would have been a 6.5. So if you want to make sure to get a 7 or even a higher score tomorrow, you should make sure to get 3 7s. If you get 4 7s, that would be perfect. Your score would be a solid 7. And if you get, like, for example, an 8 in one of them, it would be higher. But I can say that you have the potential to get a 7 tomorrow in your test. First of all, just make sure to pay attention to the structure of each part. Keep using connectives, collocations, and complex grammatical structures, and try to fake your answer sometimes in order to have a better fluency. Now, do you have any questions?
No, everything was very informative. Thank you very much for the incredible job you did. I'm very happy about it. Yes.
I'm glad it was useful. So I wish you best of luck with your test, Chaturi. And if you don't mind, I was wondering if we could share the video of your test on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, no problem. It's fine.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Then have a nice time and bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.